How's everybody
Hey
doing?
everyone.
So what was the file name?
Let me refresh just to make sure I've got everything up to date here. We are going with meow.
Meow. All right, sounds good. All right, so I will explain the category name during the intro. So we can do a quick countdown here for time. So 3, 2, 1, go. So I guess we'll start with introductions. My name is Hyphlopod. My real name is Danielle. I've been running this game for about 5 months now. X, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm xwillmarktheplace. I've been running for a bit over 2 years and also this category, and I'm excited for the run.
Awesome. So MST stands for Medallion Stones Trials. Now, what that means is you collect all the medallions, which is all the adult dungeons. You get all the spiritual stones, which is all the child dungeons. And then you also dispel the barrier in Ganon's castle, which the community calls the trials. So this category is unique in that it's pretty much the only category that actually does the trials. Almost every other category just skips them, warps past them, whatever. So you get to see a lot of cool tricks for it. So it's kind of like all dungeons plus a little bit extra, but the difference between this and all dungeons is that you need to get every item from source. Now what that means is that you need to get the item from its intended location. There's a bunch of glitches in this game where you can just simply add items into your inventory, but that's not allowed in this category. First thing you'll notice is that the text is in Japanese. This game displays one character per frame, and Japanese characters convey more meaning than English characters. So it goes a lot faster, saves a lot of time there. This version that I'm playing on is the Wii Virtual Console. It is the fastest version for this category at the moment. The other versions for this game include the Nintendo 64, Wii U, which I wouldn't recommend, and there's the iQue version. The thing about Wii U is it has a lot more input lag than this current one that I'm playing on.
Yeah, for sure. It's not really a pleasant experience.
All right, so this is this intro that everybody knows and loves. We're just gonna mash through all the text as quickly as possible because a lot of this run is about avoiding social interaction as much as possible. Because Link is very shy. I'm gonna try and have chat open as much as possible. So if anybody has any questions, I'll try and answer them. So right off the bat, we just need to get the sword and shield, and then we need to save the Deku Tree, as that is the first dungeon. So quick backflip off the house, then backwalk here. Backwalking is the fastest form of movement you can do without any assistance, like bombs or anything like that. And then we need to go get the sword right away. What's the square root of pi? That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. My favorite dungeon? Probably to do casually, I really like Forest Temple, and to do in a speedrun, I also really like Forest Temple. Just Forest Temple. Alright. So there's a couple rupees in the air. This is kind of a tutorial area to teach you how to do backflips and stuff like that. So if we do some fancy maneuvering, We can get all these rupees in the air. And then there's one on the side. And then there's one on top of this bridge here, which we can actually just clip on.
Nice.
5 more rupees across the stepping stones here, and then there's 5 more in the shop. So now we can buy the shield and then go save the Deku Tree. Except Link's actually a little too grumpy from being woken up from his nap, so he's actually just gonna dip on out of here. Nice. Alright, so we can actually just clip into the guard here, and then slide underneath him. So he's actually really bad at his job. Why do you like this run better than all dungeons? So when I first started this category, all dungeons, there's a lot of glitches in all dungeons that like, you kind of just add items to your inventory, and I didn't exactly like that. I'm not going to say it's cheating because it's not cheating, but it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I like how MST kind of has this classic feel to it. Like, there's a lot of tricks and skips, but you still feel like you just really run through everything, and it doesn't have anything extremely game-breaking.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of cool tricks. However, you still experience a lot of the game. What's the category? The category is Medallion Stones Trials. So you get all the adult dungeons, child dungeons, and then you clear the trials in Ganon's Castle. Alright, so we need to explain some basic mechanics of this game. One of them is called power crouch stabbing. So in this game, for whatever reason, the crouch stab, which is this, doesn't actually have a damage value. It just uses the damage value that you previously used. So if you do a jump slash, your crouch stab will have jump slash damage. This is really useful because you can crouch stab a lot faster than you can jump slash. And it's also really useful for a glitch later on called ISG, or Infinite Sword Glitch, which allows your sword to be infinitely active. So here we're just backwalking across Hyrule Field because backwalking, again, is the fastest form of movement without any bombs or anything like that. And we're about to do what's called a Wes, where we recoil off the fence here. And if we hold a specific direction on the control stick, we can keep our speed. That's fine.
Nice. That's a nice backup.
So there was actually an owl there that tried to talk to us. However, you could tell that we were busy sliding across the ground, so we didn't actually talk to us.
And while we're gathering up chickens, do we have a moment for a donation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, we have $100 from Lord Nav. Always happy to donate to charity and just in time for the MST run. Good
Thank
luck
you so much,
to all.
Nav.
Keep on rocking it.
So we collect these chickens because we need a bottle. Bottle is an extremely broken item in this game. So there's a character here. We call her Anju from her Majora's Mask name, or just Chicken Lady. She's actually allergic to chickens, yet she's a chicken farmer. Not the best career choice. So you just collect the chickens for her. Cuckoos, I'm sorry. Yes, they're in fact called cuckoos. Alright, sounds good. just more running around collecting chickens. Almost done. There's 7 chickens total. But we get a bottle, and bottlers are very important for this run. I'll slash that chicken to make it move faster. But it's okay, they're invulnerable, don't worry.
Yeah, bottles save a lot of time.
Alright, so she's very grateful for us for doing our job for her. And then we got this bottle. Now we need to go directly to the bottom of the well. So when Link does a jump slash, he takes a step back. If you use Navi at the end of that, you'll actually be stuck in the cutscene. You can just drop to the bottom of the water and enter the well early. Alright, so there's a glitch called ISG, or Infinite Sword Glitch. This allows you... it allows your sword to be permanently active. So a side property of that is that your... That's bad there. Side property of that is that you can actually fall off ledges. So if you take damage in midair, it'll actually reset your position. Come on. Can't do inverted cam here. Here we go. So you can actually do what's called a hover. So we're actually just waiting for this bubble that comes around here. I'm gonna backflip. There we go. And then so similar to the Navi dive earlier, we were locked in the cutscene state, so it didn't actually load the bottom floor. Like it didn't load get rid of the water. So there's actually still water here, and we can actually swim up it. Come on. All right, I got stuck. That's fine. We can just drop down.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, the water here is really finicky, so sometimes you get stuck and you can't actually clip through. Got stuck again.
You can like maneuver a little bit to try to get loose, but it's pretty finicky indeed.
It's definitely like, it almost feels like luck whether you clip there or not.
I think it actually was found to be RNG, whether you, what has to do with like some cycle, but you can't really.
Yeah, it's based on your swim cycle, which isn't really, like you can't really expect to manage that.
Yeah, it's hard to keep that consistent.
So we have bomb chews now, which are very, like explosives earlier are very important. And we actually just get caught by this wall master because it takes us back to the beginning of the dungeon faster than save warping.
And also takes heart, which is going to be useful later.
That's true. Yeah. Alright. So once again, I'm trying to keep chat open as much as possible, so if anybody has questions. Is there a glitches category? Yes, there is a glitches category. The any percent time is about 3 hours, 40 minutes? I'm not...
Yeah, that's correct.
Alright, so this here is called, what I like to call Schrodinger's bridge. So the bridge is in its previous state until you look at it. So last time I saw the bridge, it was down. However, if we come over here and then jump on the bridge's chain and then load the bridge, it'll actually just pop us straight up. And then we can enter the castle town after dark. Alright, so Malin here has a chicken, We don't actually need the chicken, but it is definitely our safety chicken, just in case. Our good luck chicken, if you will. This is not currently any percent, no. This is essentially all dungeons plus a little bit extra.
We've got a $10 donation from The Cheap Seats. Great game, Ocarina of Time, great cause.
Nice, thank you so much. All right, so we have this chicken here. Very handy in case we mess up, but we're not going to mess up, right, chat?
So I've seen quite a few questions again about the game being in Japanese. So yeah, it's played on Japanese because the text goes a lot faster, so it makes a pretty big difference, especially over longer runs.
Yeah, the game is exactly the same in English and Japanese, except for the text. Like, other than that, they're exactly the same.
So we did a quick little setup there to line up with that seam, so we can just walk out of bounds and skip past all the guards here. Now I'm going to try and do a damage boost. Thanks. So that skips waking up Talon, and it also skips pushing the boxes.
And it also damages just a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true. We want to be at half heart upcoming. That was... I should have gotten caught there, to be honest.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Guards are always so clutch.
Sometimes these guards are quite blind.
I think you just did like perfect side hops on that one.
Oh yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because you should have gotten caught.
I definitely should have gotten caught there. All right, so we have a long cutscene here. So we have some time for donations or lots of questions.
Just want to remind folks what this is going towards. We are donating towards Malala Fund, which is working for a world where every girl can learn and lead. With more than 130 million girls out of school today, they are breaking down barriers that hold girls back through investing in local education activists, advocating to hold leaders accountable, and amplifying girls' voices. So if you have the means to, please consider donating.
What language and why that language? So once again, Japanese is faster than English text for this game. Yeah, so if you pull a stick and then talk to Zelda, Link is still holding the stick, and he kind of just holds the stick in her face. It's kind of awkward.
Situation.
Maybe it's also good to tell why we're getting Zelda's Lullaby here.
Right, that's a good point. So we need Zelda's Lullaby for a lot of reasons. Well, actually only 3 that I think of. So you need it for magic from the Great Fairy Fountain of Magic. You need it for Nehru's Love, which is one of the spells that you can get. And then there's a door that you need to open with Zelda's Lullaby in the trials.
Right. It's just because item manipulation is banned. You have to actually like watch this cutscene. If you didn't have to watch, or if item manipulation wasn't banned, you could just RBA Zelda's Lullaby, which would save a lot of time, but it's not in the spirit of this category.
Yeah, and what RBA is just a glitch that it's one of the glitches that allows you to add items to your inventory using bottles. Once again, bottles are very broken. So there's about 8 more minutes of cutscene. There's quite a bit of cutscene here, but after we get the Master Sword, it starts to improve a lot quicker. Non-stop gameplay, for sure.
Yeah, that's like one kind of rough thing about running this category, that you always have to sit through Child, and it's a lot of cutscenes, but once you get Adult, it's really nice, and then it's basically just a dungeon rush.
Right. The point is to spend as little time as child as possible, because child can't really do very much, and adult can do a lot more and also moves a lot faster. So you just want to get like the bare essentials and then turn adult. But unfortunately, that means a lot of cutscenes like this.
All right, so here's the reason we had half a heart. So we did a backflip and pulled the chew, and then right as the bomb chew exploded, it killed us, but it also pushed us into the cutscene to get Zelda's Lullaby. So it actually skipped the cutscene there. So we just need a little bit more money here because we need to buy a shield, because adult Link cannot use this tiny wooden shield. All right, now coming up on Temple of Time here. So those familiar with the game know that you need to beat all 3 child dungeons in order to access the Master Sword. However, there was a tiny little crack left in the door. And everybody knows speedrunners love small cracks in walls. They will abuse it till all end. So if we actually do a precise side hop here, as I'll show you in a bit, we can jump through the door.
Yeah, skipping all the 3 child dungeons here, it's a pretty big deal. For speedrunners, it's the most normal thing by now, but I think for casual people, it's still a pretty big shock that you can just pass by this door so easily.
Yeah, so we just did a quick little side hop there at a specific angle. It put us out of bounds, and then we can just jump slash back in bounds inside the door, and then side hop through it.
Funny enough, this isn't even the biggest sequence break you can even make in this game. You would think like getting the Master Sword early, that would be a huge deal, but it's really not for a game like OOT.
Yeah, this game is incredibly busted.
You'll never see the game the same again. I know that feeling. It's been a while, but it's a pretty big shock.
Yeah, it's so weird, the perspective of being a casual compared to being a speedrunner or knowing about speedruns in this game, because the game is like completely different. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah, I can never go back to playing this game casually again, unfortunately. As much as I love it,
Yeah,
I've just
that's
played it
gone
way too
forever.
much.
Yeah.
Where
How
we're
did
at right
Ganondorf
now
get... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say where we're at on time now is just under 3 times as long as what any percent is at now.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. Any percent, you don't even have to leave the forest. And then you can beat the game.
Any percent is just staring at a rock simulator. Archaeology, the category.
It's a nice rock, though.
It's a great rock.
Yeah, there really is not that much left anymore. No, just a little more, and it will be like half of it will be the intro.
I think my favorite speedrun of this game is the quote-unquote new game plus run that Save State did, and it beat the game in 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, that's
That
a good one.
You just hit the file select, and then the game's over.
So yeah, I'm really glad we have a lot of different categories that have a lot of different amounts of gameplay and brokenness, basically.
Yeah, this game has so much variety when it comes to speedruns and categories. There's basically something for like everyone, honestly.
Yeah, this game has tons and tons of categories. It's got like 6 or 7 categories on the main leaderboards, and then if you go to category extensions, there's 3 dozen. There's so many.
We just got our first medallion. That's the
Yeah.
M in MST.
Our very first medallion.
It only took 25 minutes.
Oh, geez, at this rate, I better hurry up. Almost done with this cutscene, and then we get to play the game.
Yeah, for me, Adult Link is always best. I'm always glad when Master Sword cutscene is over.
It is definitely a mood killer to just sit through this cutscene after every run. Especially after you've collected chickens.
It's a great time to just read chat.
Reflect. Yeah.
Maybe take a sip of water.
Rehydrate.
Just sit back and enjoy the lore.
Japanese lore.
Alright, so we get to play the game now. We actually need to do a save warp here because the Door of Time, even though we skipped past it, it is still there. It's still loaded. So we can't actually go backwards. So if we do a save warp, it takes us to the beginning of the Temple of Time, and then we can leave. And now we're headed to go do our first dungeon. But first, we need a very important item.
It's so lucky that the save warp is on the other side of that door because you
It's
can't
so
walk
lucky.
through it. You would have to do so much more before doing Door of Time skip if you couldn't just do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that game that works that feels so coincidental sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like the stars aligned to make this the perfect speed game.
It feels like it.
Like how in old any percent, when you did Ganondorf, how it put the Master Sword in your inventory even though you'd never had Master Sword.
Yeah, picking up the Master Sword actually puts Master Sword in your inventory. That one's a pretty good one.
And I also can't believe that like the things you could gim in Deku Tree were like a bottle and light arrows, like 2 extremely useful items.
Oh
Yeah, it's crazy how any percent. The problem for a while was having to go to Kakariko to get a bottle, but then it turned out the place that you can just wrong warp to Ganon's castle, there's also a way you can get a bottle in there. Like, it's so crazy how things just line up in this game. $48.
No, I already got hit.
Ooh.
It was gonna be like a 53. I got a double hit.
53,
It's gonna be a
believe in you.
54.
Yeah. So luckily there's no Dampe grave digging in here, but he can also
But Dampe
endure
is still
here.
mean, yeah. He keeps trying to show us his fire mixtape, but we don't want it.
That's a neat little like pop-up you can do there because the wall's like
yeah.
slanted and you just jump up onto it instead of grabbing the ledge.
Alright, so this is to get the hook shot. A very important item. Now, the hook shot, the way it works is on the very first frame that the hook shot connects with something. It gives you a lot of upward speed. I'm not entirely sure why, but it gets rid of that upward speed the next frame. So if you can cancel the hookshot animation anyway, you'll get to keep that upward speed. So we'll see that really shortly here. So just real quick, we're gonna get crushed by this door. It's faster than going through again.
Also, you'd have to waste a chew, or you would have to save warp to get out of there because we don't have Song of Time, and there's Song of Time blocks in there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're gonna bonk against this hut here. It puts us in this weird glitch state. And then on the third flick, we hook shot and we get a lot of upward speed. And then we can land on the seam above here. Now the seam is really hard to navigate without ISG. So we can get ISG off of the Poe. Now again, what ISG is infinite sword glitch. Makes your sword constantly active, and a property of ISG is you can't actually fall off ledges while it's active. So we can kind of just shimmy our way through here. Come on.
This seam can be a little difficult to navigate. Flo did a really good job of getting across it, obviously. But, like, obviously this seam was not meant to be walked on, and there's a lot of places where you can just get stuck, and you kind of just have to, like, try to jump to another part of the seam and hope it works.
Yeah, a lot of times if you get stuck, you can't... So, if you get stuck, you can't change your angle, so you just have to hope that your angle's good, and then you do a backflip and pray. So we need to get these nuts here, as nuts will come in handy later. And unfortunately, I took too much damage from Dampe, so we just need to get this heart. Go around. There we go. So now time for everybody's childhood nightmares.
Dang, for sure.
I think it's so funny that I feel like I hear this all the time, that people will come into chats and say like, oh, this was my nightmare fuel as a child.
Yeah, so where Dead Hand spawns in this fight is random, so sometimes it's way closer to these hands, and that can be really annoying.
Yeah, so I got not a great Dead Hand spawn, but it's not a huge deal. So now we get the hover boots. The hover boots are incredibly useful. It allows us to walk on air for a short time.
And we're going to be using them right away.
We're going to be using them right away. Now the rest of the dungeon is too scary, so we're just going to skip on past that. Will one of you be able to explain this?
Yeah, so basically she's going to do what's called a mega flip. And that basically is just doing a flip while you're invincible and the bomb is hitting your shield. And we get this invincibility with a roll. So we're going to do a mega flip, and then while we're in the air, we're going to equip hover boots, and that's going to allow us to preserve speed while we're going through the air. And then you just saw that she clipped through the ground through that little like slanted collision, and that's called a ground clip. And now we're in an unloaded room. You can't really tell what's going on, but she's actually in the room right before the boss. Like, the boss door is to her left right now. And she's going to do a little setup to basically clip under the floor that is right under the boss door. And then
Nice.
She's going to use the bomb chew to knock herself into the room and skip the boss key. And now we're a bongo bongo.
And she nailed it.
Now we're at bongo bongo.
That was amazing. That was really good.
Completely ignore the rest of the dungeon.
Yeah, it involves a lot of frame perfect things or close to frame perfect, so it's pretty. It can be pretty hard to get through it fast without too many pause buffers.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I don't think I saw any extra.
Uh-oh. Well, this is...
So she's going to use another property of ISG that is probably pretty obvious, but the sword infinitely swinging can also be used as an attack. and she's going to use that to damage Bongo here. She was trying to keep Bongo in the same place so that she could set up for a cutscene skip, but that didn't really happen. So it looks like you're probably just going to go into the blue ward.
I'm just going to walk into the warp.
Yeah,
so what I was
fine.
trying to do there, if you keep Bongo in its initial position, you can manipulate the camera in the way that you can skip the next cutscene. But I messed up a little bit there. I'm not going to YOLO this up, but thank you.
You could try.
No.
Try it for the fans?
No. It could work. I didn't drop the bugs either.
Yeah, that was kind of my clue that you weren't gonna do it. Is you didn't drop the bugs.
It's okay. This is one of the shorter cutscenes, so that's fine.
Yeah, of all the cutscenes to not skip, this is definitely like a good one.
Yeah, there will be plenty of cutscene skips to show off later.
This one isn't even that interesting. It just takes you to the front of the dungeon.
Boring.
Boring.
3 heart run. We're actually gonna be going up to 5 total. Spoilers.
Yeah, it's so funny that you like don't get any hearts until the end of the run, and then you get 2 like back to back.
We've got a $5 donation from Sakura Tsubasa. Good luck, runners. You're all doing awesome.
Thank you so much. All right, so we could have skipped the cutscene there if I didn't mess up the beginning of the fight. It would have saved about a minute. That's okay. There's plenty of cutscene skips that we can see later. This is our 2nd medallion.
You only took 10 minutes to get this one. That's
On better
a lot
pace.
better. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So now we need to go to Goron City because we're tired of our old, boring green tunic, and we need a change of clothes. I'm gonna get these bushes to see if I get a heart.
Probably smart.
No heart. I'm gonna go back again for it. It's entirely luck-based. Claire, do you know if I do Zelda's Lullaby on the same Gossip Stone, I can get 2 fairies if I reload the area?
So once you pull the Ocarina on a Gossip Stone, whether you play the song or not, you can never get the fairy again.
I think
Or
that's
it's
the one you
if you
should be able to
save, I think.
reload. It's only the one in DC that I think you can never get it
Really?
again once you even pull indeed.
All right. Well, we're just gonna go with bonk the wall there. We're just gonna go with 3/4 of a heart. It's probably good enough. Don't want to spend too much time farming bushes for a fairy.
If nothing else, there's a heart in DMC.
Ah, that is true.
Yeah, and Darina's room.
Oh yeah.
Where's the rupee? There we go. All right, so we would have had 2 bottles by now. With a glitch, we can duplicate bottles. I normally do that in the bongo fight, but since I messed up, we can just do that here. So if we swing the bottle and then put the nut in the slot that the bottle that we're swinging is in, it'll put the nut over that slot, or the bottle over that nut slot. So now we have a 2nd bottle. It's just over the nut slot in their inventory. And having 2 bottles is really useful here.
We've got a $20 donation from Ardarath. Cheers from Norway.
Thank you so much for the donation. All right, so we're on our way to Goron City. What we're about to do is we're going to attempt to do a Hess here. Just gonna do a quick save, or not a save, just a save. Safety save. Now, if you shield damage from a bomb while holding a specific angle on the control stick, you'll get a lot of backward speed. So I'm going to try it. I only have one attempt, though. So.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the West she did earlier. It's just a different variation of it. It's like a combination of the Mega Flip and the West because it's keeping speed with the ESS position, but you're also using your iframes on the bomb like you would if it was a Mega Flip.
Yeah, so that was pretty good there. So now there's this Roly Boy here, which we need to wake up. Dear. That's okay. We have extra bomb chews. Am I gonna die? I might die. Okay. I planned that.
Phew.
The glitched health.
Oh man.
Everything's going according to plan.
Entirely calculated.
So yeah, one typical thing in MST is because we're not allowed to RBA or do any item manipulation, we're kind of stuck with the amount of chews we have from the start. So you really have to be careful with your explosives throughout the run.
Yeah, so that's why I did a little save there, because we only have 10 explosives or 10 bomb chews, sorry, from the one that we got from bottom of the well. And if we run out of those, we can't get any more.
And seeing as how we only have 3 left, I feel like I know what dungeon we're gonna do next.
Don't spoil it. All right, so we can actually, there should be a heart in Darunia's room here. Nice. So now we won't die. All right, so we're gonna get ISG from a sign here. Again, you can't fall off ledges with ISG. So if we get in a precise position, because we need to get Bolero Fire, which Sheik gives us here. So we can do a backflip and then a side hop. Then we grab the ledge and then we dropped right as Sheik dropped. Now we're actually falling and we're about to void out. The way this game works is it gives you the song right at the beginning of the cutscene. So we voided out there, and it actually skipped the cutscene, but we still got the song. Didn't mean to jump slash there, but that's okay. All right, so now we need to get magic for light arrows. That's the only reason we need magic, although quick spins are nice. So we use one of our last chews to blow up that wall.
We've got a $10 donation from Burks. This is the first time I've been awake before 7 a.m. on a Saturday in over a decade, but it's totally worth it. Sticky situation.
Thank you so much, Greg. All right, so we're about to do the next dungeon, which is going to be Dodongo's Cavern, because we really need bombs. We only have 2 bomb chews left, and they're very precious. So we need to go for bombs next. Just a quick little cutscene here to get magic. And again, if anybody has any questions, I'm trying to watch chat as much as possible. What is the trials part of the category? So in Ganon's Castle, there is like a barrier that you need to dispel, and the community calls those the trials.
I think the game calls it that too. Like, I'm not certain. I don't really remember what the text in this game is like completely, but I feel like it says that at some point.
All right, so we can do a quick mega side hop there, similar to a mega flip, just a side hop instead. That puts us right above Dodongo's cavern, and then we can actually just drop down into the loading zone here. And we use our last bomb shoe to open this door.
Yeah. All according to plan, indeed.
All according to plan, exactly. All right, so now,
Convenient.
upcoming, we're going to be doing a wrong warp. But we actually need to save warp, because if I don't, the previous cutscene that I watched will actually mess up the wrong warp. Wrong warps are very finicky in this game. So it would have crashed if I didn't do a save warp here.
Yeah, it's really lucky that doing a save warp fixes this, because it doesn't always fix it.
So we need to intentionally take damage here. And this is why we got our fairy.
Yeah, make sure to pay attention, because this always blows everyone's mind.
So right there, we died right as the hookshot connected the ladder. Again, that vertical speed that we got from the first frame of the hookshot, it didn't go away. So we jumped all the way to the bridge on top. We got to skip a lot of the dungeon.
Yeah, it's such a good trick. It just looks so good visually.
It's so weird too. Like every part of that trick makes sense except for like going straight up. That part makes no sense to me.
All right, would one of you be able to explain this part?
Sure, yeah, I can.
Yeah, you do it.
So now we're going to go to the boss room. You might think, okay, we're up here, so we're just gonna light the eyes and go to the boss room that way, but there's actually a faster way to do it. She's gonna do a mega flip off of this bomb, and she's gonna land right in the crack of the dead Dodongo's mouth. And now she's gonna do a precise setup to do what's called a super slide. It's basically just another way to move backward fast. And then she's gonna use her hover boots to extend the super slide while she's in the air. And then while she's hovering, she's going to curve her super slide and hit the collision of the boss loading room. Now we're in Dodongo's cavern.
All right, so that went really well.
Yeah, you did it so fast.
So now time for our second boss. This was actually my favorite boss as a kid, probably because I was bad at the game, and this guy is quite easy.
Yeah, I'd say it's the easiest boss.
Definitely.
It's kind of
He
nice.
doesn't even hurt you. Can he hurt you? I mean, maybe when he's rolling.
He spits fire if you wait too long. But
You would have to
speedrunners
wait a
should run into
long
that.
time.
Yeah, he definitely telegraphs it. Nice. And this cutscene, she doesn't really have to worry about. Well, she kind of manipulated Dodongo to be in a specific spot. But after the cutscene, she's always going to be in the same place to do another precise setup for this wrong orb.
Yeah, so we're going to do a wrong warp here, so I'm just going to do a quick little setup to get in the right position. And then we have our friend, the fish. We like to call him Harold.
A nice thing about this game is that when you side hop and side roll and backflip and stuff, all of the movements are the same distance and the same angle every time. It makes it really nice for setups. And then she buffered to a specific frame of the bomb explosion. And then she did a trick called Ocarina items to allow her to regain control on the edge of the blue warp. And then she used the bomb after the blue warp started to skip the cutscene because it kills her on the same frame that the game tries to load the other map in cutscene. And this wrong warp, or this cutscene skip is special because it does a wrong warp to Gerudo Training Ground.
Yeah, so it tries to load the cutscene for beating the dungeon, and it also tries to put you at the beginning of the dungeon because you died. So the game kind of combines those two, and it takes you to a place completely different. In this case, it's Gerudo Training Grounds. Hello. Good.
Great.
All right, we can do a quick mega side hop there, and then curve it through the wall. We end up on this mountain on the outside here, so we can actually skip past the gate without saving the carpenters. As nice as I'm sure they are, again, avoiding social interaction.
I don't know, they're kind of weirdos.
All right, so now we're doing another Hess here to speed through most of this wasteland. We have a Hess. Oh, I dropped it. That's fine. When you have a Hess, you can go across the shifting sands there at the beginning without switching boots.
Yeah, and that's not even the normal way you're supposed to do it either. You can actually walk over that with hover boots, which is what you would do if you weren't going to do the Hess. But you're still not going to use long shot, which is actually, I think, the intended way to do it.
I think it's either hover boots or long shot. I never did long shot when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow.
Wow, okay.
That's close.
I think it's really not, common knowledge for like casual players to know you can use hover boots there.
Yeah, when I was a casual, I had no idea. I assumed that was like speedrun tech. And then, you know, well, we're speedrunners and we just know the path through the wasteland, so we don't need the Poe to show us how to get
Yeah,
there.
normally you're supposed to use the lens of truth in bottom of the well to see a Poe, and he sort of guides you through. But it's the same way every time, so as long as you remember it, it's not too bad. So now we're here at this other fairy fountain to get Neru's Love. Spoiler alert, we don't ever use it. But I'll explain why later.
The most useful spell you'll never use.
Exactly.
Did the other route ever use Farore's Wind?
Yeah, one time. Before 1080.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. So one of the older routes actually used the spell that you got, but this one doesn't use the spell. You just get the spell and then you use it for a completely different trick.
I feel like that would be pretty interesting if you used like Nehru's Love, because you can do some interesting tricks with Nehru's Love.
Yeah, you can.
It takes so long to set it.
And it uses like half your mana.
That's true.
That was a bit quicker. Maybe it could be useful sometimes.
So this is probably the hardest trick in the run. One of you want to take over?
Yeah, so coming up is Spirit Jump. It is basically a way to get fast to the mirror shield, but it requires quite a few components. So the first part is she's going to do a seam walk. So get an angle here to make sure she can walk on that precise seam there to get up this rock. And there's a skull. So the skull gets defeated, and then there's a token. And what you can do is you can pass buffer to the frame where you would collect the skull, and then use a cutscene item like Ocarina to delay actually collecting it. So right now, the actual collection of the token did not happen yet, so that's still sort of stored. And she cannot really look at the where the token was, because then the collection would happen. So then she goes to this pole, and if you hookshot it on the same frame that the camera would see the skull again, you get launched into the air, which is really nice, because then you can get up onto this arch. But the next step is to do a super slide with hover boots to get to the scene, which is on the Spirit Temple. It's quite an elaborate trick.
Yeah, there's a lot of steps.
Yeah, and what wasn't really shown here is that it's really hard actually near that pole to because the levers, those enemies in the sand, are constantly trying to hit you, and like that's one of the hardest part actually of the trick. But that went really nicely here.
Nice. Really happy I got that.
Yeah, sometimes
That's
the
awesome.
leaders just like won't spawn for some reason for a while. I don't really understand why. But this trick is so crazy because there's so many parts, and every time you're like, okay, well, it's over. Well, it's not over yet, because she still has to do a super slide across the hands.
Yeah, there's so many parts of this. But now we're here.
Me, you can mess that part up too. Like.
So yeah, this all is pretty much magic, and this skips a pretty big part of the Spirit Temple. So the whole first segment of the temple you don't have to do because you're already here.
Yeah, being able to go through this dungeon backwards is really handy. Also, now that we already have Mirror Shield, we don't have to ever go back for it if we mess up.
Yeah, that spirit jump was pretty clean, honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was super nice.
All right, so again, you saw that we were kind of just poking at that Iron Knuckles' toes. So like I explained earlier, the crouch tab actually has the damage value of the previous move you did, sorry. So in that case, I did jump slash, and then I just poked at its toes with jump slash damage. All right, so now we're just going through the dungeon. We kill these Armos here for bomb drops. It's a 50-50 chance each time for each one, so we got average luck.
Dang, 2 drops. Pretty good.
It's good to leave this dungeon with almost full bombs. So now we just run around this room to clear these. They kind of like follow your movements, so if you lead them into the fire that you had turned on with the switch there.
Yeah, and that first one she hit, you're actually supposed to play Song of Time to like put a Song of Time block there to burn it, but you can, for some reason, just burn it if you're barely on the edge of that.
Oh wow, I totally forgot about that block.
Yeah, yeah, you wouldn't even think about it, but that's actually how you're supposed to do it.
I wanted that heart, but it hit me anyway. So that lovely pot came up to give us a heart. So now we're at full health here. And now we're gonna be doing what's called statue climb. So if we do a couple side hops and then a jump slash onto the sword hilt, and then we can jump slash on the other side of the sword hilt. And then we can use a glitch to extend our hook shot through the head, and then we can hook shot the gate. And now we're in front of the boss door. We can do a small hover thanks to ISG.
Just a small hover.
Small one.
Ah, damn.
Small.
All right, so I was a little bit early there. That's okay.
This way of boss key skipping is relatively new. It's really nice. It also works in water temples.
Yeah, so it doesn't work on all boss doors, but it works on the Spirit boss key door and the Water Temple boss key door. So now we're in the boss room. We didn't need to get the boss key at all.
So yeah, we got a question earlier which medallions we already had. Oh, I see. Yeah, but still good to say, I think.
We have, so in terms of medallions, we have Shadow and Light medallion. That's it. And we also have the Goron's Ruby, the spiritual stone.
Oh yeah, it should be mentioned that even though we did that wrong warp, we still got the Goron Ruby. It's just like the song The Bolero of Fire earlier. It actually gives you the item on the first frame of the cutscene. And so since she activated the cutscene, it still gave her the Goron Ruby, even though she didn't watch it.
Yeah. So that's the way cutscenes work, early cutscene skips work, is that you die right as the game gives you the spiritual stone. And then you don't have to watch the cutscene.
Yeah, and basically if you manage to wrong warp to another spot, you basically know that you also got the reward always.
Yeah, so there is actually a way to skip this cutscene. However, I got really unlucky with the positioning there, and it kind of pushed me back. And then I started to panic, and I lost count. So
oh yeah,
it's okay. We can just.
I kind of thought you were just not skipping it.
I thought it was just the marathon strat, but
yeah,
either way,
that's what I thought too.
Either way, it's good.
All right, and we need to be at half a heart here for the cutscene skip. So we're gonna damage down beforehand.
Sometimes when I'm like not at full health, I've tried to like use dropping and recatching the fish to damage down, and that like never worked.
You try to use the fish to damage buffer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you use an Ocarina, or like any cutscene item for that matter, you can cancel your invincibility while still being in the bomb hitbox and get multiple damage from the same bomb. But you can't use Ocarina in the boss room, so. They didn't need to know. They didn't, but I'm just sharing.
We're sharing the strats.
Sharing the strats. Exactly. All right, so this boss has a fair amount of randomness to it. They kind of just fly around, and sometimes they'll shoot you and sometimes they won't.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety in how lucky you can get. Like, they can either fly around for ages, or they can shoot really fast, sometimes even multiple times by the same witch in the same position. So yeah, this is one of the bigger RNG factors in the run, I think.
Yeah, it's funny because there's like really not that much luck in this run, but there is like little small things with the enemies.
I don't think this is gonna hit. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, and a lot of times they can like fly right above you, making it really really awkward for you to see them. This is some unfortunate luck, but that's okay.
Also, she's at half a heart, which is a little scary.
It's a little scary.
Hit once, she's dead.
Yeah, that's also the thing in a category with many cutscene skips, that you're always managing your health, basically, because at the end of every dungeon, you gotta make sure you're at half a heart, so you can do the cutscene skips or the wrong warps. And it also means that it's always pretty clutch, like one hit will usually kill you.
Where's the other one?
Adds to the excitement factor.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, so again, they kind of flew on opposite ends of the stadium, so.
They really don't like to cooperate sometimes.
All right, there we go. So luckily, like once one of them starts to shoot, you can use the hook shot to keep the other one in place, because it puts them in this spinning animation. But all right, so 4 hits there, and then it goes to the second phase.
Yeah, and an interesting thing about this fight is if they're planning on shooting again quickly, even though you've hit them 4 times, they'll still just keep going. And so a strat to like skip that is to just hook shot them again. But I just feel like this fight could have been planned out a little bit better by the developers.
It's really fun casually, but really unfortunate when you're trying to go fast.
She's
So
gonna
there.
use
Oh,
crouch stabs here to stun lock Twin Roba, the second phase. She could use ISG as well, but regular crouch stabs work just as well.
Yeah, so once again, I did a jump slash before I started crouch stabbing them. So that made it so that my crouch stab did jump slash damage. So you can kill them in one cycle there. And this is the part where all of the memers usually spam hiatus.
Yeah, that's what this fan.
Let's keep it at that.
Or hyenas.
Ooh,
Hyenas is
yeah.
another one. All right, so we're gonna be dropping our good friend the fish once more. Mr. Harold.
Our fish friend.
You may see that the pause menu is not happy there. That's just what happens when you duplicate bottles.
I wonder why it does that.
All right, so we do Ocarina items on the warp. This allows us to move around afterwards, and then we're gonna pull a bomb, and then the bomb's gonna kill us right as the cutscene tries to give us the spirit medallion, and then we'll skip the cutscene. So it's gonna be a white flash, and that means we did it right.
Nice.
So as you can see, I already cooked the ocarina. I'll do a quick save. So now we're gonna go to do Fire Temple. So Fire Temple isn't super exciting. There's like one trick at the beginning and one at the end. But for the most part, it's just running through the temple to get the Megaton Hammer, because the boss, which you can actually just get fairly early, or get to the boss fairly early, will only die if you have the Megaton Hammer. That's the only way to kill her. So that's why we need to go all the way to the top of the temple. So I'm dropping Harold here once more. And we can do a glitch. Is it time stop in this game as well? I think. Which it inverts the camera. And then we
I'm
can
not
go
sure
through
it's
this
called
door
I don't know.
with the inverted camera. So Darunia here will actually only talk to us when we look at him. So we like to avoid social interaction as much as possible and just not acknowledge his existence.
You don't
Oh,
see him, doesn't
actually,
exist.
bomb count. Should have gone for Darunia bombs probably. That's fine. Should be fine.
Alright, should be good, yeah. Maybe get lucky with Flare Dancer.
We'll plan on it.
We'll bank on that 50-50 shot. But yeah, so most of the Fire Temple is just running through the dungeon here. So if there's any donations, feel free to read those out, or if any questions.
Well, right now I'd like to take the time to remind everyone that Frost Fatales is benefiting the Malala Fund, which is working for a world where every girl can learn and lead. With more than 130 million girls out of school today, they are breaking down barriers that hold girls back through investing in local education, activists, advocating to hold leaders accountable, and amplifying girls' voices. So if you would like to donate to the Malala Fund, it would really mean a lot to all of us here and the Malala Fund, of course. Let's get to 50K.
Let's do it.
Nice, thank you so much.
Yeah, Fire Temple is really one of the most linear dungeons, I'd say, and that's why, yeah, the part getting up to Megaton Hammer always just takes a while. There's not much you can do to get there faster.
I feel like if
Yeah.
it was in any other place, it would be a lot quicker. Like there would be some way to cheese it. I know in Master Quest, it's like at the bottom of the temple, and then you're supposed to use it to climb up. And
You're supposed to use it to
that's
climb
pretty
up?
nice.
I actually
Yeah.
haven't played Master Quest. But that would be so much nicer if it was at the bottom of the temple. So we're coming up on another trick here. One of the few in this dungeon. But once again, we're avoiding social interaction by not talking to any of the Gorons, because they aren't actually needed to beat the dungeon at all. They're just nice and friendly. But Link's very shy.
I think for all dungeons, it's actually like scary to talk to the Gorons.
Yeah, and one of the N64 all dungeon routes, you have the timer, and talking to a Goron will actually unfreeze the timer. All right, so this trick here, we get a little position and we hold a bomb next to this corner. And then right as it explodes, we hold left, and then it'll push us into right in front of this guy's cell. So we can let him out. He'll be fine. Save the Gorons. Should I save one Goron? All right, we'll save one Goron.
They're grown-ups. They can get out. They can get out by themselves.
Well, there's one bingo goal. It's called free all 9 Gorons, and there it's also luckily
There's 9
good
of
enough
them?
to just open the cages for them. Luckily, we don't have to talk to all 9. But it can be nice to see them run for their freedom. They're kind of cute.
They're always so happy. I don't think I've
They're
ever seen a
very
Goron not
happy.
smiling.
They're just a happy species.
Even while being trapped in the fire temple.
It's warm. It's like vacation for them.
How did you not grab the ledge? I didn't know that was how that worked.
Wait, what? Alright, I'm not gonna go for the Hess here because of my bomb count. Just want to make sure. So there's these firewall things. You can actually just, if you get close enough to them, you can just side hop over them. You can also backwalk over them or roll over them. They're quite easy to get over. And we use damage invincibility here to backflip through this other firewall. All right, so we're almost at the top of the dungeon. We're just gonna kill Flare Dancer here and hope that he gives us a bomb drop. We don't need the bombs, but it's always nice. A lot of this game, just pretty much every speedrun category uses bombs all the time, and having more bombs is always nice. Nice. Lucky bomb drop. Blessed.
Good thing we banked on that bomb drop, right?
All planned. Everything has been planned so far. All right, we drop a bomb there to trigger that switch, and then we can climb up here. It'll get rid of the fire there. Now we're almost at the hammer. Now there's this spiral staircase here, and it's surprisingly terrifying to roll up.
Also, that switch is so weird. Like, you can't
Yeah,
really walk
that
on
switch
top of
has
it.
like a weird hitbox for some reason. Nice.
I looked at it once, and it's like not even on the ground.
Wow.
It's like above the ground. It's very strange.
All right, so we have the hammer, and the boss room is actually just beneath at the bottom of the tower here. So we can do a Hess out of bounds and then land directly into the loading zone for the boss.
It's so satisfying to go all the way up to the top of the dungeon and then just
Jump all the way
back
down, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the idea in this game is that like even if you're not in other rooms, like all the collision and loading zones are always loaded in one scene. So that's why you can often always in some way clip out of bounds and make sure you touch the loading zone to skip to the boss of a dungeon. I'm gonna see that more times.
Yeah, so the way Volvagia works is there's actually 2 hitboxes. One of them that comes out of the ground, breathes fire at you, and another one that flies around. The one that flies around is going to be just underneath the last hole that it flew into. So in this case, the one right in front of you. So you can actually just place a bomb next to it. And it'll damage Volvagia like that. So they have the same health total. They share the same total.
She's also using power crouch stab again, but this time with hammer jump slash. And like another thing about PCS is it doesn't just store like the damage like value, it also stores the damage type. So she can still do stunning Volvagia with crouch stabs from the sword.
Right, I should have explained that. So the game thought that since I jump slashed into the fight with the hammer, my crouch stab had hammer properties, so it could break rocks even. Is Wii VC faster? Yes, Wii VC is the fastest for this category.
In fact, you can't even do this route on Nintendo 64.
So we do another Ocarina items on the blue warp here. This allows us to move afterwards. And then similar to the wrong warp in DC, we're just gonna die right as the game tries to load the next cutscene. So the game tries to do both. It tries to take us to the beginning of the dungeon since we died and also load the next cutscene, which takes it to a completely different place entirely. In this case,
Wait for it.
it's Forest Temple, the beginning of Forest Temple.
It's also such a convenient warp. Just right to the start of like another dungeon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And a nice thing about this warp is now we don't have to get Minuet ever because we're already in Forest Temple.
Yeah, so there's one of the warp songs, if you're familiar with this game, is right in front of the entrance to Forest Temple, but the cutscene is so long. We can actually just, with that warp, we can just skip past that area entirely and go directly into the temple. So once again, there's a little bit more tricks, but it's just, we're mostly going to get the important item in this, and then we're going straight to the boss.
Wait, are you saying that we're not going to be killing the Poe sisters?
Don't spoil it, Claire. Gotta keep them on the edge of their seat.
Yeah, I bet everyone was just sitting there thinking, oh man, I can't wait until I see the Poe sisters.
They've been waiting this whole run to see the Poe sisters. It's everybody's favorite part of the game, as we all know.
Alright, so those guys have big shields, but if we just poke directly at their toes, they're vulnerable.
Yeah, and every now and then they'll like not shield for like a couple frames, which allows you to like crouch stab them, which is pretty nice. You can also like get lucky and just hit them anyways. I don't really know how to like manipulate that though.
Yeah. So there's a Song of Time block here. We don't actually have Song of Time, but luckily if we target the wall on the very first frame that we go to grab the ledge, it'll actually change Link's angle and it'll actually just clip directly into the block. So now, I gotta focus here. 1 sec. All right. So if we keep hover boots on the second frame of getting damaged, we'll get a lot of speed, and we can use this to go to the next ledge. It skips a key. And we can use our 2 keys for the upcoming doors.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, you'd have to like drain the water from the well and get the 3rd key, which takes a lot of time.
And then we can do what's called ground jump. It allows us to essentially jump off the ground. Who would have guessed? Because you can't actually grab ledges in a backflip, but ground jump cancels the backflip and puts you into your normal falling state, which allows you to grab ledges. So you get the backflip height, but then you can also grab ledges.
Yeah, so if you thought you can't just regularly jump in this game, you're wrong.
And we do a kind of precise little roll there to grab the ledge, and then we can skip pushing the blocks. We actually can't even push the blocks because we never got the Goron's bracelet as a child. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't push those blocks. Now there's actually a Navi text trigger in this hallway, but we can just jump to the side and then avoid talking to Navi. All right, so we're coming up on the bow room here. This is my least favorite room in the game, because you gotta fight these guys, but there's also a giant hole in the ground. Because sometimes that guy just decides not to walk up to you, but that went well.
It's really not fair. He can walk over that gap, but if you try to walk over that gap, you're gonna fall into the other room.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, all planned. Nobody panic.
Nobody
Nobody
All
panic.
good. It's all good. Yeah, these guys deal a lot of damage, so it's always good to grab a few hearts to be sure, because like if they do the normal slash, it's 1 heart, but if they do the jump slash, it's 2 hearts at once. So yeah, you really want to be careful here.
All right, all
Quite
planned.
long. All right, yeah, nice.
All right, so now we have the bow, and we need to go directly to the boss room, because we don't actually want to talk to the Poe sisters. Conveniently, similar to Fire Temple, the boss room is directly below the important item room, so we do a little setup here, get in this position. Use a recoil with the hammer because the hammer has more recoil than swords. Puts us out of bounds. And then if we hold the direction towards the boss room, we'll actually just fall directly into the loading zone there.
I love that boss keys camp.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Remember to hydrate, folks. All right, so once again, we need to be at half heart for the cutscene skip. So I'm gonna try and get Phantom Ganon here to damage me at the same time I damage him. If I miss, it's not a huge deal. Nice. So it saves a cycle. Yeah. So we just shoot him as soon as he comes out of this painting. And then we make sure to store Jump Slash because we're going to get ISG. ISG is really good against bosses.
Yeah, it's really nice for this fight.
It's really good against this fight because you cannot miss the game of tennis.
Yeah, and glitchless, I think this is the hardest boss because you don't have ISG, so you actually have to kind of play tennis.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that.
Glitchless Phantom Ganon is actually a sight to behold. It's possible to one-cycle him, I'm pretty sure, but it is.
Yeah, but it's really precise.
It is very, very precise and hard.
So do you just like crouch stab and then you just time the like bow shot or whatever?
Yeah, you do like, you have to keep him at the fence and use a bow shot and then I think a stab and another one. They're all like, they're a few frame perfect.
Oh my god.
It's kind of, I usually didn't go for it, but it's a really nice track.
All right, so now Harold's going to help us with another cutscene skip.
So yeah, this is another typical cutscene skip where we pull the bomb at a certain frame, and then she's going to do a backflip at also a certain frame to make sure the bomb explodes right at the moment that you would be taken to the cutscene where you receive Forest Medallion.
All right, so that one's probably the hardest one in the game because the arena is so small, you can't actually unload the warp like most of the other ones. So I'm really glad I got that. It's a long cutscene if you don't skip it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This cutscene is so nice to skip. It saves like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's not only the medallion, but also the happy Deku Sprout who likes to tell you basically a really long story, so it's very good to skip it.
All right, so now we're on our way to Water Temple. However, we don't have iron boots. So how are we gonna get in? I'm glad you asked. I'll show you.
There is a really precise way to shoot the like crystal without iron boots.
That's actually true. If you stand just on the edge of the water, just barely, you can hit the crystal to open the temple. But then I think you also need a scale to dive in.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool.
I think you need at least silver scale.
Yeah, probably.
That was probably one of the most shocking revelations I've ever had.
All right, so we need to go to Zora's Domain. The fastest way to get there is through Zora's River. The area trigger here is still there, so if we can just clip into the block, we can touch the loading zone to go to Zora's River.
Yeah, that clip is really convenient.
We have Zelda's Lullaby, but it's actually faster just to hover behind the waterfall here. And now we enter Zora's Domain. But we're going to Water Temple. It's frozen over. How are we going to get there? So there's a pretty quick setup here. We can actually just clip into this ladder and go out of bounds. Luckily, there's still water, so we can just do a side hop and land in the water, which is still here, and then we can touch the loading zone to get to Lake Hylia. So now, similar to the ledge clip in Forest Temple, we do a ledge clip here. There we go. If we do a ledge clip there, we can go underneath and load the water here. And then we can swim all the way around. This is one of my favorite tricks in the game.
Yeah, it's really nice. I like it too. I think this ledge clip has one of the nicest rhythms because it's right after you roll.
And the camera sometimes There we go. Okay. It doesn't really snap back until you get to a certain part of the water, so I just had to adjust there. And we can do this to get into Water Temple here. Conveniently, the loading zone is higher up at the top of the water there. We don't have to dive down with iron boots or anything. Now this is actually the shortest dungeon. Because the boss room is on the first floor. So we can actually just do a quick super slide here. And do that to grab the next ledge.
Yeah, that's always funny. Viewers are always like, oh, I remember Water Temple is so hard, and then the speedrun was just like,
And we just zoom past it, yeah. Why did I equip hover boots there?
This like little walkway is so weird because you can't roll up it with normal boots, but you can with iron boots. Or not iron boots, hover boots.
Alright, so similar to Spirit Temple, we can do a small hover. And we can place the bomb and cancel the hover right as the bomb explodes. It'll push us straight through the door. And now we're here for the boss. Meow. So conveniently, you don't actually need the long shot at all for this fight. The hook shot will work just as good. So where Morpha spawns is kind of random, but it doesn't change too much. It doesn't change the fight too much from where she spawns. Might be too far here. So once you grab the ball, you can kind of just pull it towards the corner. And then you can just keep poking at it in the corner. It can't actually get out of the corner once you do that. So that's a really quick and easy way to one-cycle that boss. Alright, so we have another cutscene skip coming up. Luckily there's these spikes on the wall which help us damage down. So we just damage down off these spikes, and then we can drop down. And we drop our fish once more. He comes in handy quite a lot. Although sometimes he does this. Okay. The fish can flop away. That's not very nice. But luckily he came back.
This poor fish does so much for speedrunners. And they get mad at him if he messes up even one time.
Poor Harold.
He's mostly nice though. It's pretty unlikely that he'll flop away, but he can, and that's really bad. All right, so once again, we died right as we got the cutscene, or the medallion cutscene, which then skipped getting the medallion. So now we need to go, there's only 2 dungeons left, which is Jabu and Deku, both of which are child only. But there's also the trials.
So we're going back to child then now, right?
Yeah, this is the part where we go back to child. To go do Jabu.
Yeah, we got a question about why we actually dropped the fish, but yeah, it's not really about the fish, it's about holding a full bottle in your hand. And in theory, we could also use bugs, but they like to run away really fast. So fish is nicer for cutscenes because usually you can always recatch it without taking a little step.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bugs are very unlikely to stay in the same spot. Now, what I just did there to get back to Zora's domain was do a precise mega flip. It clips us through the block thing into the loading zone to get back to Zora's domain. And that's
Yeah,
probably
and-
the easiest clip in the game here to get behind King Zora.
All these cutscene skips that she's doing, like, they're actually like super precise. Like, you have to be on the very edge of the blue warp to be able to do Ocarina items. If you land just inside of the blue warp, it will cancel and you'll just go straight to the cutscene. And so that's why having the fish is really nice, because you don't really normally have to move to recache it.
So this is where Jabu normally is. So we're gonna do a quick little setup here. So I'm pause buffering because it's very precise. One more. If we jump slash on this frame, the damage from the bomb will push us. We actually just barely touched the loading zone for Jabu, which is still there. It's just under the ice. So then we can actually enter Jabu as adult, which is really useful.
It's so crazy to me how they just left all those loading zones there. Like, they thought, oh, we'll just hide it under the ice. No way, they're gonna find out.
Yeah, like, no way they could get that.
Yeah. Speedrunners will find a way.
Just another one of those things. It's like everything lines up in this game so nicely.
And I also love how the game does, like, never really protests at all. Like, we do all this stuff. Like, you're never even supposed to ever be in Jabu as adult, but it all just kind of works out fine.
Yeah, like, nothing really weird happens. That's a good point.
So in a way,
this is just normal.
people always complain about how broken the game is, and it definitely is. But in some ways, I also feel it's really
not broken.
solid.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like for how hard we push this game, it stands up surprisingly well.
Yeah.
So a lot of Jabu is just walking through the dungeon with Ruto here. There's not really much to talk about. So if there's any questions or donations, that would be a good time.
I have a question.
A question? Yes, Claire.
So, to beat this dungeon, you have to use the boomerang. But you can't use the boomerang as adult.
That is correct. I'm glad
How
you
are we going
asked.
to do that?
So remember back in Spirit when we got Nehru's Love and we said we weren't going to use it? Well, we weren't ever going to cast the spell. However, we will use the like menu icon. So this was one of the more recent glitches. I think it found like 2 years ago, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah. 2.5.
So it allows you to equip any item as any age, which is really, really useful. Not every item works as any age. Like, you can't use hookshot as a child. That will just soft lock you, I'm pretty sure. But most of them work fairly well. Right, so once more, just walking through this giant fish with a smaller fish.
Yeah, that's just another point to what xwill was saying. Like, you can do this trick, and using these items as adult kind of just works. Even though it definitely shouldn't.
Yeah, so there's no fast way really to get to this next room, the boomerang room, without carrying Ruder around. So that's why this first segment is a bit tedious. Like, I think there is some way, but it's really slow, so it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's crazy because the game says the reason you can't push down the switch is because you're not heavy enough, so you need 2 characters. But you're an adult, so you should weigh as much as both of those characters.
Yeah,
So
never
that's a
thought
fun
about
little
that.
trick there. We call it Vibruto. It saves no time, but it's funny. So it's definitely worth it. All right, so we got the boomerang. Now we can go straight to the boss. There's actually a big octo that you can just skip because we have hover boots. All right, so this is what's called a quip swap. Nice, first try. So what I did there is I hover over the boomerang, and then I switch to the other screen, and then I go back to Neighbor's Love, and the game thinks that I'm still hovering over boomerang when I go to equip the item. So like it lets us equip the item since Neighbor's Love is equipable at any age, but it equips the boomerang because it thinks that's what we're holding. So that trick's actually quite precise. It's a one-frame trick, and normally with one-frame tricks, you can at least pause buffer, but since it's in the pause menu, you can't pause buffer that trick.
Yeah, and additionally, the pause menu is 30 frames per second compared to the normal game, which is 20, so it's even more precise for a frame perfect trick.
Yeah.
Good
So this
old
is one of
OG,
my...
and it's crazy frame rates.
Yeah. The title screen menu actually runs at 60 FPS, which is just a weird oddity. This is one of my favorite bosses to do quickly, because I'm sure most people didn't use the Deku Nuts for this boss. I know I didn't. I just awkwardly went around and threw boomerangs at the jellyfish, but it's actually really fast to just throw the Deku Nut. It'll kill all the jellies.
Yeah, Deku Nut is one of the most underrated items.
For
It's
real.
used a lot in glitchless. It's very useful there.
Yeah, I
Almost
never
more
used
than
Deku
bombs.
Nuts. Like casually, I never used Deku Nuts. Same with bomb chews. When I played this game, I pretty much never used bomb chews, but they're so nice in a speedrun.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting our first heart.
Holy grail.
Up to 4 hearts now. Now this is one of the cutscenes that we don't skip. It is possible to skip this, but since this blue warp acts differently than every other blue warp, since there's an NPC that you talk to on it, it's just not worth the effort. And now we have this glorious cutscene,
I hate this cutscene so
which
much.
surprisingly still works as adult.
In Hundo, I would always equip iron boots so Link would just sink to the bottom of the ocean. And
He
this
sinks during the cutscene then?
couldn't be as weird. Yeah, if you have
Wow,
iron boots
that's-
equipped in the cutscene, he'll go to the bottom.
That's so cool. I've never seen that.
Why do we get this heart specifically? So most of the other blue warps, we can do a glitch to skip the cutscene, but that one's just a little finicky because of the way it works. So we don't need to be at half heart, so we can just get the heart, because the heart piece heals you fully, so if we were to try and do cutscene skips, it wouldn't work very well.
Yeah, or it would just be slower.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is one of our last spiritual stones, and now we're going to do the trials. But before that, we have a bathroom break.
Popcorn time.
All right, so we do a save warp here. This takes us all the way back to Temple of Time. And then get your snacks, get your popcorn, because we've got a lovely 5-minute cutscene. Which I just slowly mash through. Luckily, there's a bit where you don't have to mash at all, and I'm going to use that time to get some more water. Time for donations, if there is any.
We do have a couple of donations. We
Nice.
have a $2 donation from Rex205 that says, "It's a Saturday night. I'm listening to some great tunes, playing Splatoon 2, and watching this Ocarina of Time run. Could not be more perfect. I don't have much to give, but thank you for raising money for such a good cause."
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you have a cutscene where you don't have to mash. Like almost all the cutscenes, you will have to mash the text. So there are really not many moments in the game for a quick bathroom break. This is
Yeah.
one of them. So this is a pretty good one. Actually, it's pretty annoying. Like the best one out there is in glitchless. After beating the Deku Tree, it's almost 3 minutes or something, I think. But yeah, that's super early in the run, so it's hardly useful. That's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, this one's nice because it's like 2 hours in, and this is like about as long as you'd probably before you'd need to go to the bathroom or anything.
Yeah.
I use this cutscene for bathroom breaks all the time. Because all that cutscene there, I just didn't have to mash at all. So that's a A+ bathroom break right there.
However, you did miss out on a bunch of lore.
That's true. Whatever will I do?
I don't know.
All right, spoilers for those that haven't seen this game.
For the
You're
one
about to
person
find
in
out
chat.
Sheik's true identity. Oh
The
my
one
gosh.
person in chat who's never seen Ocarina of
Oh
Time
my
before.
gosh, it was Zelda the whole time.
All along?
Did you guys predict that? I never guessed
I
that.
would have never known.
I had no idea.
I love this cutscene so much when I casually played the game because it felt like such a reward for beating all those temples. But now it's like, oh, that again.
Yeah, no.
That's actually so true. Like this cutscene is actually so sick when you're playing it.
It's really
casually.
hype.
Yeah. But in a speedrun, you're just like, ugh, I don't care. Just smashing the text, not even looking at the screen.
I think on really good pace, it's kind of a nice cutscene to kind of calm down a bit and like, I don't know, work on your mindset before the trials, which are pretty difficult.
That's a good point. I find any time that I have to think during the run is not good.
Yeah.
Like
I personally
need
just want to
keep
go.
going. Yeah.
I just need to go.
Yeah.
Like this break, while nice for bathrooms, kind of kills the momentum a bit. Because the last like hour was just nonstop dungeons, and now you have like a 6-minute long cutscene that you just painfully
true.
go through. But we get light arrows, which are really nice.
Necessary. to
Very
beat the game.
necessary. So interesting fact about this game, for those that don't know, is this game actually only checks if you have the Spirit and Shadow Medallion in order to get the light arrows here. So through glitches, you can actually beat this game. You can beat all the dungeons in literally any order you want.
Or only two.
Or
Or
only
none.
two. Or none. Exactly. But casually, the game doesn't expect you to be able to beat Shadow or Spirit without beating the other three first. So it only checks for those two. Can you pass it without fire arrows? Yes, we're actually going to be doing a trick to skip fire arrows soon.
Yeah, if you notice, we actually don't have fire arrows, and we're about to go to Ganon's castle. It's funny to me that you only use the light arrows, stuff that isn't necessary to beat the game.
Yeah. It pretty much, there's a few categories pretty much just around like the light arrows. Another category that's a really good one for beginners called GSR, which is you just go beat Spirit, you beat Shadow, and then you get the bow, and you just go to Ganon's castle and you beat Ganon. It used to be called no item manipulation, no wrong warp. So it was like none of the wrong warping glitches that I showed earlier. And also none of the item manipulation ones that this one also bans. So similar thing with this Rainbow Bridge. It also only checks for the Spirit or Shadow medallions. We actually have all of the medallions, so it doesn't really matter to us, but
Intended.
very intended, yeah.
Oh wait, we still don't have the Kokiri Emerald.
Oh no. Oh man, I gotta go back for that, don't I? Well, that's a child only dungeon.
Don't forget about that one.
I'm gonna have to go back to child for that one.
Beating Ganon is a requirement for this category.
Yeah,
With
beating
Austin,
Ganon is a requirement, but not Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Weird that you would mention that.
Alright, so this glitch is called action swap. So we need to trick the game into thinking... Actually, Claire, you know action swap better than I do. You want to explain this one?
Action swap is pretty complicated. So, like, basically, you are going to... I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. For this trick, you're going to shield this damage, and you're going to use the double BMOS damage to cancel pulling out the stick. And this allows you to do a trick called action swap. You also have to have the bow in your hand. And when you use a stick while action swap is active,
It
will
shoots a
shoot
flaming arrow.
flaming arrow through your bow. Or through your stick, I mean. Beyond that, it gets super technical as to why it works.
Yeah, so basically we just shot a flaming arrow through our stick, which is how we skipped fire arrows. And then you saw me walking around with like an invisible fire. The game just can't render the stick as adult for some reason. But it still functions exactly the same. You can still use it, and it still lights things.
Yeah. A funny thing is that it crashes on Nintendo 64 because it does try to render it. But for some reason on VC, it just doesn't even try.
Yeah, so
It won't
that trick right there is why this route is fastest on Wii VC.
That and like it doesn't really lag nearly as much.
Yeah, there's a lot less lag. There's still some in some places, but a lot less. All right, so we just use hover boots to traverse the forest trail there, and then we just kind of go around counterclockwise here.
Yeah, that was
And
a
then do all
pretty
the
good
trials
forest
one by
trial.
one. Thank you. Had to redo action swap, but it's not a big deal. Doesn't take too long to try again. So there are these freezers here, and there's this wall I need to get past. So we wait for the freezers to get past, or get close to me, and then we can hook shot them, and it clips us through the wall. And then we can do quick spins to kill them through the wall. And we don't need to use blue fire or anything.
Poor blue fire.
How did I learn all of this? I just watched other people's PB videos, PB being personal bests. And I asked the OT Discord. Actually, that's a good point. We should talk about that. So the OT Discord is really, really nice. And they help beginners get off the ground lightning quick.
So
Yeah,
nice
I
little
feel-
puzzle skip there.
Yeah, so we can do a precise jump to grab the ledge, and then we can just jump slash with the hammer through the wall. And it'll just barely reach the hammer switch.
Yeah, if anyone is indeed interested, even remotely interested in maybe trying to like run this game, there's a ton of resources and the Discord is super helpful. So just check it out and yeah,
Yeah,
great.
Ocarina of Time has like some of the best resources for getting into speedrunning it. It's super nice.
Yeah, and everybody is super nice and like really welcoming. All right, so this is another trial that we need. We should have fire arrows for, but we don't. So we have to do a Hess here. This one's quite precise. Could one of you explain this?
Sure. So basically, we're just going to be doing a Hess with hover boots like we've been doing. We're going to use it to skip needing fire arrows here. Usually you're supposed to either have fire arrows, or I think Din's fire reaches that torch as well. But doing this Hess and like going barely on this little platform here and then turning, and then
That's
you
unfortunate.
can backflip on, or you can jump slash and then backflip onto the other platform, and that allows you to skip getting fire arrows yet again. This is pretty precise. Like you have to get a specific frame of the Hess. There's multiple frames that you can get. The Hess will start, but you like turn. We don't want to turn at all. We just want to go with that exact angle.
All right, here we go. Second time's the charm.
Nice.
So yeah. Now we can just use hover boots to get across to the other side.
It's interesting all the different things that you do to skip needing fire arrows. Usually fire arrows are like necessary for the trials. Like you have to have fire arrows at this point. And the game does a pretty good job of like telling you that you need fire arrows. Like even after Water Temple, which is when you're supposed to get them, it like makes the sun rise. And it basically tells you to shoot it.
Oh, what does HESS stand for? Right, that's a good point. So HESS stands for Hyper Extended Super Slide. So there's a little position on the control stick called ESS, or Extended Super Slide. It's just what the community called it, where Link does a little shuffle thing. And that position, for some reason, doesn't have like a set speed. So it'll keep whatever speed you had going into that little shuffle animation. So by like getting bomb recoil damage, you'll get a lot of speed. So now Fire Trial is pretty tight, but nothing crazy except for this one coming up here. So if we just walk, and then we can grab the ledge barely, and then we can just clip into that block so we can skip getting golden gauntlets. And now this torch slug here, we've named him Bruce. Sometimes he likes to cooperate, sometimes he doesn't.
It looks like he'll cooperate. Yeah, so there's a lot of items that we're actually skipping right now by doing all these tricks. Like we're skipping golden gauntlets, we're skipping long shot. You skip fire arrows. You skip so many things that like you would normally need in casual play.
Yeah. Can you do Hess without any explosives? Any damage works,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
You need a damage source that'll hit you multiple times.
It's just bombs are the
Or
easiest
Neighbor's
one
Love.
for sure. So now we do a Mega Sad Hop here. We need long shot normally, but if we do a Mega Sad Hop, we can actually just barely cross the gap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good fire trial. I definitely say it's the hardest trial.
Yeah, Shadow and Fire Trial are probably the two hardest trials in the Ganon's Castle.
Yeah. She made that look a lot easier than it is. Believe me.
So now, in order to get into Light Trial, there's another block that we need to get past. Normally, you pick up the block with golden gauntlets. However, if you do a precise super slide, you can actually just barely clip in the corner. I didn't need to pause there, that's fine.
I always pause there too. I don't know.
I'm just
why.
so used to pausing after
To
super
Yeah.
slides to equip hovers or something, but that's like one of the few super slides that we don't need to equip hover boots. So I just paused out of muscle memory, but I didn't need to pause there. So now we kill all the invisible enemies in this room to get the key for the next door. And this is this is the last use for Zelda's Lullaby.
That first room in Light Trial is like so nice for a randomizer.
Oh, it's so good. It's always loaded.
There's usually at least 2 key items there.
All right, so now we're just collecting silver rupees. Nothing special. The next trial, you're supposed to have bomb chews. You can get bomb chews, but we'll do a little trick with our good friend Kurt, the other torch slug. We had a brief discussion in the Discord about what we should name these torch slugs because they're so handy.
They deserve a name.
And so we named the one in Fire Trial Bruce and the 2 in Spirit Trial Bert and Kurt.
It's really good names.
Do you have a set stream schedule at all currently? Yeah, I normally stream after 6 p.m. PST, usually. Usually every day, as much as I can. All right, so now we actually need no magic. So we can just do a little trick there to get rid of our magic. It just saves an equip. So we don't have to go back to equipping regular fairy bow.
I always get the names of the bows mixed up between the games.
Nice.
All right, so that was
called a weird shot. Which does it push your hitbox underneath the ground too, or is it just the camera? Oops.
Your hitbox also goes under the ground, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it essentially pushes your entire body and camera down underneath the ground, so you can use it to shoot things underneath, like with the hook shot or the bow. Basically, it uses the recoil from the torch slug to push it underground. You can also do it with a bomb or any damage, I think. Is it just another thing that you can do with any damage?
I think so.
Yeah, any damage you can do a weird shot off of. It's easier to do it with bombs because it hits you multiple times. But basically all you need to do is an A slide.
All right, so that's all the trials. So that's dispelling the barrier. The barrier is dispelled. Now one would expect us to go beat Ganon now. But we actually forgot a dungeon, so we gotta go back and do that.
Darn.
Don't you just hate it when you forget a dungeon?
Happens
It's really
all the
In a
time.
speed run.
And it's kind of an
That's the
interesting
wrong
route.
song. Alright, we get an extra use of Zelda's Lullaby.
If you need to check and see what the song is, it's on the one of the pause
It's on the
screens.
menu screen, is it? Oh, okay, thanks. I might have to make use of that.
Yeah, after beating trials, you would totally expect to just go up the tower and beat Ganondorf, but Ganondorf is not a strict requirement according to the rules, so MST doesn't beat him at all and uses another way to get to the end of the game.
Yeah, and you have to go into the tower to play the warp song. If you play it in the regular Ganon's castle, it will say like you can't.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, it just won't let you play the warp song, so that's why I walked into the center of the tower. So we're just gonna take a quick stop by our friendly neighborhood Goron shop for some more bombs.
Best shot in the game.
Best shop in the game because he's got bombs, and bombs are very useful.
You get kind of baited into thinking that you're gonna go beat the game because you literally go into the tower and then you warp away.
And then you just warp away, yeah. But luckily, Deku is actually really cool as adult. Spoilers. We're not actually going back to child.
What?
I know. How?
The mouth's shut.
All right. So if we get in this corner, We can
I feel
do
like
a
if
little
you made it
Hess.
this far, you're like not even surprised that you can do this as adult.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even phase you.
And we do it. So we did a little Hess there. That time with hover boots. Nice. Which then we can do a little side hop. It puts us on top, out of bounds, and then we can just jump past the loading plane. Now, since the loading plane switches the room you're in, it loads the Deku Tree. But since we never touched the loading plane, it doesn't load the Deku Tree. However, the loading zone for the entrance of the Deku Tree is still there. It's always there. So we can just walk through his mouth.
Can you skip this text? Like,
I think
From
so.
hookshotting?
With
Because
a
I've
hook shot,
tried.
I'm not sure.
I
know
don't
you
think
can
so.
like normally, but
I don't think
I
you can
really
do it.
tried and I couldn't do it. Unbuffered? Oh
Wow.
For
man.
the fans.
I'm impressed.
Oh.
That's awesome.
I didn't know we were gaming today.
Yeah, we are definitely gaming. So we did
So-
a quick little mega flip there, and it pushes us out of bounds, and then we slide it directly above the boss room for Goma. So we skip the entire dungeon.
What she's not telling you is that Mega Flip is frame perfect.
Maybe not. That's what I have YouTube for. To hype me up.
I'm hyped.
Thanks, Claire.
So that was
Right.
Goma.
That was Goma. Yeah, she's dead. Since you do a jump slash and the Master Sword does more damage than Kiri Sword, she dies in 3 hits.
If you looked away, you may have missed that boss.
So now we need a direct path from the door in this blue warp here. So we can do a quick little hover. And then use this last bomb to push us out of bounds. This will void us out, and it'll actually reload the room. So it gets rid of the little slab that comes down when you kill Goma. So then we drop our good friend, the fish.
It's the last time we'll ever see this boy.
Time
He
to say
served us
goodbye.
well.
I think he's probably pretty happy about that.
All right, and then we do Ocarina items on the blue warp here. And one final wrong warp.
This is the only blue warp cutscene skip where you don't die.
And then this takes us to the
That's
collapse
pretty cool.
sequence,
Boom.
which is very convenient.
Oh my god. How are we here? I don't think anybody's asking that question at this point.
No.
After everything we've seen, I don't think it's that exciting.
Yeah, so we got to the collapse sequence, and then we got a precise position in the corner there, and we did a little super slide, and then the bomb that we super slid past pushed us out of bounds. And then we were able to actually skip the entire collapse falling sequence.
Yeah, and it's lucky that Zelda's just kind of here when you go down here.
We need her to open the door.
The kiss.
And the kiss. Very important.
The double kiss. Now, as you can see, we're just straight at the edge of the game.
Yeah, so there's like some weird flags with this cutscene that if you've watched certain cutscenes and don't watch like the Ganondorf dying cutscene, it'll just skip the collapse cutscene for some reason. I think it's like a cutscene in Gerudo Valley.
Yeah, it's
Getting caught
by
by the
guards.
guards.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
getting caught. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for
I
some
didn't
reason
know
they
that.
share the same flag.
I never even realized it was missing. Wow. Like I
Yeah.
heard about that, but I didn't really realize in this run that was going on.
All right, so that's one final trick is if we super slide into the cutscene, we'll be in this kind of awkward state here where our shield's up. I don't think it has anything to do with the shield.
It's so you're super sliding, and when you're super sliding, you're just like stuck in that state. And when he's stuck in that state, he can't pull out his sword. So Ganondorf can't knock it out of his hand. For some reason, if he knocks it out of your hand, it like actually just works that way. But if it's you never have the sword in your hands, then you can't lose it.
Yeah, so essentially I'm busy and I can't lose the sword. So now he knocks away the sword. The sword is out of the arena, but luckily we have our backup. And now we can just use the Master Sword freely in this fight. And we just roll in between his legs and then poke his tail. So Ganon only takes 1 damage from every weapon except for the Master Sword. So since we get to keep the Master Sword, it actually saves a lot of time.
Yeah, the game doesn't really expect you to have the Master Sword right now. So Ganondorf only has 10 health for the first phase, which is easily taken care of.
Yikes.
Oh my god.
I'll plan.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
Oh man, he actually does 4 hearts of damage.
He would kill me. He kills me in 1 hit. Again. Okay. All planned. 1 more hit for Ganon. 1 more hit for me. It's a fight to the death. Okay, there we go. So now Ganon's dead. I'm actually coming up on time.
Fight. Wow.
That was
that
awesome.
was exciting. That was exciting.
I gotta keep you guys on the edge of your seat. Don't want to make it too easy. All right, so right as I slash Ganon, it's gonna be time. And time. Time. If you miss the slash, that can happen, but...
Wow.
That was amazing. That was really good.
Such a good run, really. Like, really good.
Thank you.
2:11 is a pretty good time in general. And
2:11,
like, to do it in a marathon.
Yeah, in a marathon.
2:11 pretty good.
You only missed 1 cutscene skip too.
Yeah, and it was the shortest one.
Yeah.
It was like the best one to miss.
All right, so that's MST. Yeah, if you like what you saw, you can check me out on Twitch. It's the same tag, Hyphlopod. I try to stream every day. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. It was really fun. And thanks for commenting, clairelynnd.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, what an awesome run. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. We're going to go right to a Twitch ad and then we'll be right back. All right, everyone, that is it for me. But before I leave, we're going to go ahead and switch over to a Malala ad, and then we're going to flip it over to Natara. So make sure to say hi to Natara.
When you give to Malala Fund, your donation reaches people around the world. Your gift supports advocates like Munira, who's working to change laws in Nigeria so that all girls can go to school for 12 years. Girls Like Peace, a 15-year-old activist who helps other girls understand their rights to education. Educators like Arman, who recruits and trains female teachers in Afghanistan. Activists like Rihanna are convincing parents to send their daughters to school in India. Thanks to Rihanna's work and your support, Sonam is in school and learning today. These girls want nothing more than an education and an equal chance to pursue their dreams. Please give today and join me in creating a world where every girl can choose her own future.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. My name is Natara, and I'm going to be helping with hosting for this upcoming Super Mario RPG run. While we do get ready for that, let's read some of the donations which have come in the meantime. We have a $10 donation from Scarth. Thank you so much. And we have a $10 donation from Kristen224. Very appreciated. We have $50 from Anonymous saying, after all this years, it's cool to find new OOT speed run routes. Money goes to Zero Suit Samus in Link to the Past. Have fun and go fast. We have a $25 from Kisei. Good luck to all the runners. May your times be low and your runs speedy. I think we all really truly hope for that. And we have $25 from Anonymous saying, awesome run and a great cause. Thanks, y'all. Thank you for donating to this amazing cause. So we'll definitely keep up with that. And thank you so, so much. For those who are unaware, we have a secret plan currently in the works. But in order for that plan to be revealed, we are going to need to raise $47,000. So we're going to have to get to that total, which is honestly just over $2,000 away. And we need to have that met by Super Metroid. So that is about, well, you've got a good 6, 7 hours from now, but I don't know about you, but I'm super curious about what that is. So if you and I especially want to find out what that is, we should get that donation total up to 47,000K. I have faith in all of you that we can definitely do that. Okay, and some of the open incentives that we have that you can donate to in order to help bring us to that $47,000 in the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past multi world randomizer. We have a few different incentives open. We can donate towards the file name choice. That is a 12-character limit. So, if it fits in there, we should be able to try and get that. Looks like the name in the lead currently is My Dude. Always an excellent one. We also can donate to select what our runner's sprite choice will be. Currently, overwhelmingly in the lead is Psyduck for $210. However, there are still lots of options. Imosaru not far behind at $75. Okay, and with that, we are just about ready to go. Quick reminder of what we're here for. We're fundraising for Malala Fund, which is working for a world where every girl can learn and lead. With more than 130 million girls out of school today, they're breaking down barriers that hold girls back through investing in local education activists, advocating to hold leaders accountable, and amplifying girls' voices. And I've just been told that we are ready to go. So we're going to bring it over to Pidge Zero and Super.